something to say. Woohoo! Wait, you are getting me twice in 1 week. Isn't that awesome? Or I get you twice in 1 week. If you haven't checked it out already, we had a special edition with Matthew Labasco on Tuesday. I'm telling you, he is the bomb. He really helps you to tap into your power and how to find the right coach, if you want a coach or a therapist or a life coach, and how the most important person to trust is you. But now I'm going to have on my show, Alvina Peat is in the house. I think I met her when we were both doing a book club or a book introduction for women, and it was at the Pyramid Club. I think that's where I met her, and I just fell in love with her, and I was like, oh my. Finally! I think her semester ended, but I don't want to tell you too much more, and she was able to come on the show, and I was like, yay! And here she is! Alvina's in the house! Woo-hoo!
How are you? How are you?
I was saying where we met. I think we met at the Pyramid Club, didn't we?
We did. We did.
And
Teresa
you
Humble
were presenting your
Crowninger.
book.
Yes.
Yeah, your book.
Yes. We both were, right?
We both were. All right, but let's wait. We're not going to get into that. We're going to save that for a little bit. And I have a bunch of questions for you. And there are a lot of people that want to know a lot about this subject. So we're going to be rocking and rolling today. But before we do that,
okay,
tell them a little bit about you. Here we go. Alvina is the creator of career empowerment workshops and career coaching services for women in higher education. For over 25 years, thousands of people have experienced the transformational power of Alvina's lectures, workshops, and coaching. Alvina's program, The Emerging Leader, Take Control of Your Career, Do What You Desire, Dare, and Deserve to Do, is currently offered at the University of Pennsylvania. Alvina also has a workshop to accompany her program, which can be purchased on Amazon. And she's the bomb. She was standing next to me that night while we were presenting our books. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to meet you, have you on the show. We even had lunch together.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Yeah. It was a blast. All right, Alvina, I want to dive right into, I said, all right, what's the one message you want to tell women around the world? Okay, men, you're listening. Yay. But for women, and you picked, know how great you really are, exclamation mark. Eliminate the not enough mindset. I want to know why you picked that one.
Because it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Many of the women that I have the good fortune of to work with, we usually start at that place around, I should be doing more, I could be doing more, I'm not doing enough, I'm not far enough in my career, and the list can go on. And it's something that I've struggled with myself. And so it's to teach is to master. So, to teach techniques, to open up dialogue about it also helps me to remember, that we're enough. And I mentioned it in the very beginning of my book. I had a manager at the time who was assigning a project to me or asking me to do something. I can't remember the details, but I do remember that my reaction was like, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know this, or I don't have this information, or whatever it was. And she said to me, Veen, if you knew how great you really were, I'd have to watch myself because you'd be in my seat. And I always remember that. And she, we had no tensions between us whatsoever. She was a great leader. And she let me know, that I didn't see what she saw. And I started asking others, along my professional career, how do you see me? What strengths do you think I have? And it was always so much more than I saw in myself. And so I want to eliminate that. I want to make a shift where women begin to um, focus on their strengths, focus on what I call their props, where they have a personal realization of their powers,
Mm.
and step into that instead of always trying to um, close the gap, fix what's not there, strengthen what needs to be, strengthened, and start with these are my strengths
You
and go
know,
from there.
it it's it seems so like, okay, well, we should know that, right? It seems so logical. But when I was telling people that you were coming to the show and what your expertise was, so many of the women said, I understand it logically, but they really do battle it every single day. Like they constantly feel like they're not enough. And so they asked me, and I told them, I'm sure she'll know, is it true that men could have half the skill but go, yeah, I'm ready for this job, I got it, and women have more than that skill and second guess themselves?
Yes, it's true.
It is true.
It is very true. It is very true. And you can you can read studies on it and so forth, but you could, just in your own circle of male and female identifying people, and you say, oh, how do you feel about, or you put a posting, you show someone a posting and watch the different um, responses and reactions to it, you know, where my guy friends will say, go for it.
Yeah, yeah,
The women will say, well, what are you going to do about this? Or what are you going to do about that? How are you going to explain this? So I have an example. I have a colleague who had a man reporting to her, and he wanted to go after this position within the
huh?
company, and he expressed it to her, and she told him, she didn't think he was qualified for it, that he needed, but she told him what she thought he needed to strengthen, that she would work with him and so forth. Well, he didn't listen to her. He applied anyway, and he didn't get the position. And so when she was telling me the story, she said, yeah, I even said to my boss, he wants to apply for this, and I don't think he's ready. And my boss said, no, I agree. And then the hiring person said, no, he's not ready. And I said, I'm curious, is your boss a woman? And she said, yeah. And I said, and was the hiring, you know, person
Yeah,
a woman? I said, yes. And I said, well, tell me about the guy. And she said, oh, he left the company. And I said, you know why? He probably left. And she said, why? And I said, because he knew that he was being held back. Now, you all probably were dead on in saying that he wasn't qualified for it, but where you could have let him, you know, tell you why he thought he was qualified,
yeah,
and let it flow. But being he probably, I don't know, because
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
I didn't talk to the guy, but he may have felt like, okay, this isn't going to work for me here.
yeah.
But the women were doing what they would have done for themselves. Like, you don't have
Absolutely.
99.9% of what's required.
Mm. I have a question, and I know it's the age-old question, but why is that? Why do we second guess ourselves where men just run and go, yeah, I got this done?
So I have a particular theory that comes to mind from my own upbringing.
I want to know. I want to know, Alvina.
Now, I'm I've been around a while, so this example may be dating myself, but I think about when I was a child in
Yeah,
school. The boys were always the ones who were cutting up in class, who were stretching the boundaries, who were, standing in the corner, because in my day, you could let a child stand in the corner. You can't do that anymore.
Oh,
But, these were the things that, they experienced, right? But underneath all of that was risk taking. Like we might have said, oh, they're acting up, they're acting out, they're not obeying, whatever. But to me, I see that as they were risk takers. They were pushing the boundaries. They were challenging the authority. But the girls were expected to be ladies, and they were expected to
mm,
obey and not to be too loud and not to blah blah blah. And
mm,
I probably was one of the first classes that was allowed to wear pants to school. So I'm talking, this is
yeah,
this is this is a long time ago. But I think that over time, that if we look at it, the boys are expected to
yeah,
challenge the
yeah.
authority, and expected to take risks, and expected to put themselves out there. Girls, not so much. Fortunately, that is changing
Yes,
for the better, right?
yes,
Fortunately,
absolutely.
but you will still find that um, in some families, in some cultures, in some environments, that the expectation of the male versus the female is very different. And I think that follows us into adulthood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I would love to have been one of your courses at the University of Pennsylvania because I just can imagine how you impacted those women. So tell us a little bit about what you find with because you've been there for a while now, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just finished up the third cohort. So I have been working as a facilitator and professional development coach and trainer, if you will, for many years. And just recently, um, I I was able to bring in my women's program, the Emerging Leader, take control of your career, do what you desire, dare, and deserve to do.
Yeah.
And so I just finished up the third cohort, and we'll start the fourth one in January. So I'm really excited about that.
I know. I'm so excited for you. But who is your audience? Who are you teaching in that group?
Okay. So of course,
Yeah.
females, junior to mid-level positions across the university, and I call
Oh,
it
okay.
the behind the scenes administrative people who keep the university running. You know, when we think of a university or a college, at least for me, the first thing that comes to mind are the students and the faculty,
Yes,
right? The professors and so.
absolutely.
But there's
Absolutely.
a whole machine that puts that school out there and makes that school as great as it really is, right? And or all schools, not just Penn, but all schools. There's an administrative team, technology, finance, human resources, housekeeping, maintenance, architecture, you name alumni relations. There's so many aspects to the school that are working really hard behind the scenes. I use this example. If anyone is familiar with a peacock, I love peacocks, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've come to know about a peacock, which I didn't, I love to see the beautiful feathers, the
Yeah.
display. And one day I walked behind the peacock and I saw this massive energy, like this working, like a motor almost under the tailbone of the peacock. And I was like, whoa, I was blown away because I had never looked behind the curtain, so to speak. I just saw the beauty
Mm.
that was displayed, but I didn't see the work that was going on under in the rear. And so the folks that I have the privilege to work with are the folks that are making that peacock shine, so to
Ah,
speak, right? They're working hard. And what I love about what Penn has done, and this is HR, the Human Resources Talent Development area of University of Pennsylvania, that's department is responsible for the mass professional development of the entire
Oh,
university, excluding the hospital and medical school. But anyway, what I love is that they've given me an opportunity to work with small cohorts of women across the university, junior to mid-level. So our cohorts are mixed with people who wouldn't ordinarily work together
yeah,
because
yeah.
the university is so large and their areas are so distinct. And so now they come together, they share experiences, they share support, they uplift one
Mhm.
another, and then we end the program with what I call sister circles. So for 4 weeks, we meet once a week, the 12 women, or six. I have a maximum of 12, minimum of six. We
Yeah.
meet in the classroom and working really hard on content, right? And then we wrap it up with 3 virtual sessions, which we call sister circles. They're 1 hour sessions where they continue to support each other. They talk about their successes for the month. They talk about what their challenges are, and then they lend support to one another. And you can bring anything to the table. Hey, I'm working on this project. I need a resource in this or that, or I need motivation, or whatever it is that's weighing you down. So the idea is that we're doing both. We're looking at our successes and celebrating those. And if you happen to have a challenge that you need support around, we address that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was part of your course. How I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And what most women say is number one, they love that it's all women. They
Yeah,
love that they can be vulnerable together.
yeah.
They are also amazed at how quickly the time flies. So when you sign up for something and it says you're going to meet 4 times over the month, and you're looking at your to-do list and it's like, oh my gosh, you think, I don't know if I can stick to it, but they do. And then at the end, they all say, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is our last gathering. They're really disappointed.
Yeah,
And so that says to me that it was time well spent,
yeah.
that they were really getting something out of it and they were totally immersed in it. The other thing that it tells me is uh, rarely will you have a person not show up for a session. And that's rare if you're going to meet 4 times and
Yeah.
they make every one of them. So that also says to me, this is something that's really holding them, that it's something that they find valuable. And then the other thing that they say to me and I notice is that the idea of just focusing on your strengths is something new to them. So the whole program is built around what are your strengths and how can we use these strengths to better propel ourselves, to shine a light on ourselves, to feel better about ourselves
Yeah.
as we step into our current role or think about grabbing the next rung.
Oh, Alvin, I know that you've been teaching these courses, like, you said for over 25 years, but I didn't know exactly what group you were tapping into at the University of Pennsylvania. And I'm so excited for you and them, and that, like you said, that they offer that for them, because I've never heard of that before,
So,
ever.
so for when I started, my focus was, multi-gender, and it was all about being successful at work. That's always been
Yeah,
my drive. That I want people to be successful and feel successful at work. Really be happy at work.
yeah.
You spend so much of your time there, it shouldn't be a drag. But
True.
what I also say is it begins with you, right? So any class I teach is about how do I, control myself? What am I bringing to the table? So when I began with Penn, it was multi-gender, and it's still, I do a lot of their proprietary programs. I teach for them. I facilitate their programs that their internal teams have designed. Because of that trust and experience, that opened the door
I
for me
got
to
you.
be able to do this program. And we piloted the program in March, Women's History Month of this year.
Ah,
And so we
so this
didn't know.
program is new. This
Mhm.
program is new.
Yeah. So we piloted the program in March, and there was so much noise about it and so much interest in it that we said, well, let's see how it will go. Let's try another. Then the same thing happened. It's like, oh, we have people in the department, and then again. And so it's just to keep, it's getting traction.
Yeah.
Now, outside of Penn, as you know, I have what I call the Her community, Her empowerment resources and retreats. And so when I'm not at Penn, I'm also doing this work with women around helping them to live their most empowered lives. Uh, and and the book was inspired by that work, by the Her retreat and the one-on-one work that I do, and just the community of women that I have grown over the years, and recognizing that many of us were stuck in what I call the four pillars of empowerment. We were doing a lot, but
Mm.
not necessarily doing what we wanted to be doing, and we didn't know how to not do, or to at least add to the to-dos something that
Yeah.
was really near and dear to us. So it was like, okay, well, this is what I really want to do. So that became your desire. So the second pillar was, what's your heart's desire? Then the third pillar was, um, well, the dare. I have to take some risks. It could be some risk associated with doing what I really want, what my heart's desire is. And then finally, do I deserve it? And a lot of people, it gets caught in the throat around deserving, to really say, you know, like, have you ever said to someone, I'm glad you're doing that, you deserve it?
Yes, of course I have.
And then, but that person, if they're like me, they walk away and say, well, how does she know whether I deserve it or not? I don't feel like I deserve it. What does that mean? What does that feel like? A lot of people get stuck. And if they don't say that, there are other things that happen. Like, well, after everyone else's needs are met, whatever's left for me, that's what I'll take. I don't deserve, and you may not use those words, but your actions say, well, I don't deserve it. Everyone else deserves it before me. And,
Yeah.
you
I'll
know,
be fine. I'm okay. Let me take care of all this first. Yeah.
yeah. And so after years and years of listening to conversations and reading and studying, I thought, there really are these four pillars that I want to build all of my work around, helping people examine who they are and what they do, helping people think about what their heart's desire is, helping them look at what's getting in the way of that, and that's the
Mm.
dare, and then really having them be able to fully embody the deserve. Like, at the core of who I am, I know I deserve this,
Yeah.
and not, "Ooh, maybe I deserve it."
You know, and thank you for your comments that are coming through. And I'm getting, by the way, so you know, Alvina, I have people that watch and don't want to be on screen, and they're emailing me privately,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not going to be able to get to all the questions. But tell us a little bit more about your workbook, because I think that'd be a tool for a lot of the women out there that could help them. And I didn't understand, I mean, we've talked before about your work, but I saw you do the presentation, but I didn't really understand till now, like the fact that they're, even people that look achieved, put themselves on the back burner a lot, and hold back from what they really, this one woman is saying to me, I've always felt, well, that's what, let me just quote her, that's what my place was in society. That's what being a good mom and a good wife is. Everybody else's needs are first, and then when everyone seems what she said to be okay, then I take time for me.
If that works for you, if that works for you, this is how I define empowered. If it works for you, if you're getting the results that you want, do it. If you feel this works for me, this is how I live my life, this I feel completely safe and secure and valued this way, I say, whoa, you're living an empowered life. The women that I'm talking about are the women who aren't feeling safe, valued, secure in their choices. And they're examining, yeah, there's room on this plate for me.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
room,
that's what she's saying. She's saying, no, 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 I don't want to keep this up. I don't
right?
like it.
I have a funny story, and I know we have to go, but I have a funny
That's all
story.
right. Tell your story. We
My
can
mom
go.
and
Go
I
ahead.
were out to lunch with my toddler at the time, which I don't, the daughter might have been 4 or 5, and we were getting lunch, and she said to me, I always watch you, order food for your daughter and then order food for yourself. Why don't you get something that you can both eat and share instead of wasting the money? And I said, well, I don't really waste it because I take it home. I box it, I eat it later. But I thought about it and I said, isn't that a very interesting thing that many moms everywhere, and I'm not talking about limited resources, but many of us have done that, where we may have wanted the salmon for dinner, but because we know the little one's going to mess over the chicken fingers, we just get a chicken finger platter and French fries and share what they're eating. Like, and to me, that is the first step in thinking, but I want to eat what I enjoy. I don't want to be wasteful, but I want to eat what I enjoy. And I can always wrap this up and reheat it later, but I'm going to get the salmon that I want. But it's 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 little things that we do that we don't even think about. Like,
Absolutely.
what are my needs? The only place that we get permission to look at our needs first is where? If you've ever flown on an airplane. It's the only time they say put your mask on first.
You do it first.
I've
Yep.
never heard it anywhere else. That's the only place that I've heard the words put your mask on first before you put on your child. And I remember thinking, that's awful. Why? But it makes so much sense, right? Because you'll pass out or whatever. But you really don't get that permission.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Do you mind if we get a few quick questions in
I
here?
don't mind.
Okay. So we make up names. So Sally wants to know, thank you so much, Alvina. I really appreciate your thoughts. I really need it. What do you do daily to remind yourself that you deserve it, you desire it? And then she says, and do it.
The one thing that I do almost without fail every day is I stop. I get up. I go in a room by myself. I write. I pray. I meditate, reflect. I just spend some time with myself.
Mm.
And sometimes, it's very productive as far as I have some really profound thoughts and awakenings. And other times, I'm like everyone else. It's like, okay, well, I can only stay in here for 10 minutes because I promised so and so that I would email them right back this morning. So I have to catch myself. But for the most part, I carve out time for myself in the morning. And I learned that from my mother. My mother would say to us when we were tiny, like, I'm going downstairs, I'm having my cigarette and my coffee, and we knew not to bother her for 30 minutes. But it was it was her time. It was the only time of day that she had to herself, right? And until we went to school, I guess. And she went to work then.
Yeah.
But I learned by watching her. But then I grew it into a different type of practice, right? But it's the same thing. It's my time to myself, and I make sure that I always carve out that time for myself. Well, I'm going to take the word always out. I'm intentional about
Yeah.
carving that time out for myself. It doesn't always happen.
I'm getting this vision, and I so see it. Mom smoking her cigarette and having her coffee. All I need was 30 minutes. Do not. It's clear to come down. But it's true. I mean, you don't have to have the cigarette and coffee, but it's so.
Yeah. And she had 3 children. I only had the one. She had 3, so she had to, set some boundaries.
Even with one, you still do.
Yeah.
Even with one. All right, let's get into this because one of my friends asked me about it because I told her that you said that you strongly suggested completing the Gallup-Clifton Strength Assessment.
Yes. Yes. So that's my tool of choice. It's a part of my program.
Ah.
And yeah, so every woman that goes through the program, the Emerging Leader program, completes the Gallup Clifton Strengths. And some have completed it in the past, so they really like comparing, the current results to, results from long ago. The reason I chose that one over others is because it is tested and try. There are lots of assessments out there, but
Yeah.
this is something that's gone through years and years of studies and testing, and I think it's valid. When I designed this program, I had a colleague who, she was the best in that she loved researching tools and instruments. And I said to her, I said, listen, this is what I think I'm going to do. This is the tool I want to use, but I want to be sure that this is the tool for this program, and this is why. And I said, so would you take on the responsibility for me in doing, research and comparing it to all the tools you've used over the 30 years? And not just used, but she's certified in quite a few. And she came back and said, I think for what you're trying to do with your program, I agree with you. This is the better one. And it has not failed me yet. Gallup does an excellent job in not only this report, but then the women that go through my program, they have a whole slew of resources through Gallup, where they can further explore what the report is telling them. You can go on and get YouTube videos to, see discussions about the strengths. So I think they do an excellent job. And I also love that they've given me the opportunity to have women buy it through my website. So if anybody goes on my website and you go to resources, you'll see Gallup. If you click on resources, you'll see Gallup. Okay. And therein lies the box to buy it and everything. And then if anybody does that and they say, what, I have this report, would you help me understand it? All you have to do is email me, and I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Well, Alvina, I have a true confession. You ready for this?
Yes.
I've never taken a strength test.
So you're going to be taking one this week, and then you're going to call me.
I'm curious now. I want to know, So I've never done anything like that.
Your audience has heard you say it, so now you have to do it.
That's true. I was like, wait a minute, there's something I've never, ever done. And I read a lot of books, do a lot of things, but I don't know. But when I read it, when you came over in your tips, I'm like, maybe there's something to them.
It is. And I mean, it's done really well. The report is detailed. It's easy to answer to respond to the statements. It's just, I can't speak more highly of it than.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we can't get all your questions in, but Alvina's going to tell us how you can reach out to her, about your programs you have coming up. You mentioned a little bit about what's going on, and again, how they can find your workbook and your book.
So if you Google Alvina Peat, you're going to find me, first of all, and you'll find everything about me. So that's the easiest way, Alvina Peat. If you go to my website, Alvina Peat, at wait a minute, www.alvinapeat.com. All of the information, my programs, everything's there for you. And then you can either contact me through the website or you can email me. And this is a little long, but I'll say it anyway. Alvina at williamspeatassoc.com. And of course, my social media of choice is LinkedIn.
Good.
I'm active on LinkedIn, so you can always contact me through LinkedIn.
Oh, Alvina, we don't get to see each other enough. I'm so. This is an excuse for me to hang out with you, you know?
That's right. That's right. Got to do lunch again.
I know. It was so much fun. I know that we ran over our time and you had to go somewhere with a family member, and I was just like, wait a minute, I'm not done chatting with you. It was awesome. All right, hey, I got something to say, people. Don't worry if you missed it from the beginning or you know friends that didn't see it at all. When we're done here, I will record it and put it on every platform. So whatever people want to listen or watch it, it will be on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and websites. So you'll be able to find it, and we would both appreciate you sharing, liking, and rating it. Thank you so much, Alvina. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Very welcome. And I see Lauren of Lasting Change is saying she's coming to lunch with us too. Yes, Lauren, join us.
You go, girlfriend. I love Lauren. She's awesome. All right. Until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles. Bye, Alvina.
Bye.